Hey, coaches, we're going into part two of the 4-6 defense presentation. Tony Bateman, just an elite defensive coordinator, a buddy Ryan disciple. I know all my buddies who watched the episode all said the same thing, and it was, man, that guy's impressive. He really knows his stuff. So I know it's an air raid channel, and sometimes we don't get the views on the defensive videos that I wish we would. But I promise you will not be disappointed if you spend some time watching this series. So part two, 4-6 Bear defense or 46 defense, and please like, share, uh, uh, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff for me. Thank you, man.
Because some teams are not designed to attack man coverage. Some offenses are simply designed, especially spread. They want to attack cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. They teach the quarterbacks, find the hole in the zone. Well, I have a joke that I tell the defensive staff. Plays don't beat man, players do. So you can design anything you want, but at the end of the day, your kid's got to beat my kid. That's basically how it works. When you prove that you're that kind of player, then yeah, we rotate the zone schemes, we do different things. But the first thing we teach the kids how to do is how to line it up from cover 1. That's the first coverage we teach day 1. Now, cover 1 to us, it's probably not what cover 1 is to you. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. But if we're just in a base cover 1 here, obviously we're locked up across the board. Free safety in the middle of the field. I play my kid at 12, 10 to 12. You can play yours 12 to 15. Just depends on the athleticism of the kid, how quick he is, how fast he is. And it also depends on what you're facing on the outside. You know, if Randy Moss's little brother is out there, I suggest you play him a little bit deeper than 10 to 12. But if he's not, or if your kid's pretty athletic, you can be a little more aggressive and play him at about 10 to 12. Now, inside of here, this is a straight static situation. The buck linebacker has the easiest job in the defense because 75% of the time, he's not involved in any kind of coverage. He's a rusher. That's what he does. He's an edge setter and a rusher. If you guys remember the old Bears clips, this is Otis Wilson. That was his job. If you remember, you know, the 91, 92, 93 teams that Buddy Ryan had, Wilbur Marshall played this position at times when he was with the Redskins. In the NFL, it's the linebacker that can still play, but he can't run no more. This is where they stick him. So that's what we do. If you have a kid that's tough, physical, plays good with his hands, set the edge, but he's a linebacker you don't really want in coverage, this is perfect for him. The longer and more physical he is, the better he is. The last couple of seasons, I had a kid that was 6'5" and 215 playing this position. He wasn't real fast, but he was as long as everybody trying to block him. He was agile, and he had a wingspan of about 7 feet. He was also the center on our basketball team. And I don't know how many bat downs he had during the season, just get upfield, put his hands up, and quarterbacks, freeze because he's so long. Our Mike is obviously key in the tailback. He's going to play him whichever way he goes, all right? If you have a Mike that's not athletic, yes, you could find yourself in a tough spot here, okay? What we teach, we have an auto check. There's a lot of auto checks in this defense. You'll hear that in different episodes. We have an auto check to empty. If we get alignment like this, and they have Reggie Bush or something back there, and his kid's a stud, and they want to do this right here, this is how we auto check to it. We put the skill guy on the skill guy. We keep our hitter in the hole, all right? What he now becomes is a spy on the quarterback. He can become a green dog rusher. Depends on what we want to do with him. All right. But the number one thing he becomes is now he's a rat in the hole. He's a robber. His assignment just left. So now he's keying the quarterback, and anything crossing his face, he's going to put in the hospital. It's real simple. We keep the kid in a position to do what he's good at, and we don't ask him to go out here and do something that he's not good at. That applies NFL, college, and high school. Have your guys in a position to do what they're good at, and don't put them in a position to do what they're not good at because they're probably going to get beat. Simple cover 1, that's how it aligns. Whether it's trips, whether it's doubles, whether it's 11 personnel, you're going to see the man aligned concept all the way across the board. When I showed you earlier, when this tight end was here, why do you think we play him in a 6 technique? Because we want him in a position to beat this kid up. We want him in a position standing in a 2-point stance. We want him to shoot his hands, get his hands on that tight end, and be physical. Okay, he's a C-gap player in the run, but if it's cover 1, that's his guy. His rule in cover 1 is you have number 2 to your side. That's his rule, okay? When I told you a few minutes ago, cover 1 to us might be the same thing that cover 1 is to you, Cover one to us is this. Number one, the jack linebacker has number two to his side. Cover one, second rule is this. The free safety always replaces the blitzer. That's what makes the 46 defense tick in a cover one scheme compared to somebody just jumping the double eagle, is you're teaching it conceptually by position. So this free safety is kind of like the quarterback in the back end. He knows if the Mike's blitzing, if the Jack's blitzing, if the strong safety's blitzing, whoever it is, he knows on snap, my rotation is to take his assignment. That applies in the pass game and in the run game if I'm blitzing an interior player. I'll draw it up for you for a second and show you what I mean. Any questions while I'm drawing?
No, you're doing a great job, man.
Let's imagine I'm facing 20 personnel. Pretty popular personnel group, especially a lot of your college programs. They love to give you something like this. What they're trying to do is keep a guy back here so they can run power and they can run ISO schemes, but they're also trying to keep three quicks out there to keep you in too high if you're a too high defense. So we're going to play them like this. There's the Jack. There's the Mike. I actually did that wrong, fellas. The dollar would be here. Boom, boom. Now, you see a 7 box, okay? Why is there a 7 box? 5 plus 1 is what? 6. So we're going to be set up to defend your power. We're going to be set up to defend your counter. We're going to be set up to defend your isolation. We want to defend your wide zone. We're going to defend all of that. We're not going to look at this and say, oh my gosh, we got to get in too high and run cover 4 and be in a 5 box. No, we're going to force you to beat us a certain way. Okay, and that certain way is not going to be on the ground. So in this situation here, here's the free. He's the quarterback of the situation. If we're in cover 1, we are locked up on alignment. Let's imagine you guys have different terms for your blitzes. I'll just use the position term since we're on film. Let's imagine that I call the jack on the blitz. So we just call cover 1, we're blitzing the jack linebacker. This jack linebacker is going to blitz, watch this, anywhere. And that's the aspect of it that offensive coaches don't understand that made Buddy Ryan and his sons amazing. There are stunts inside of the defense. I require my linebackers to learn them. They have a word they can call to make these guys in front of them do something. That's what made Mike Singletary, Seth Joyner, and those guys almost unblockable. Because all Buddy did was call the blitz. And he left the freedom for them to tell them what they wanted them to do. And unless you're a mind reader and you know what they're saying means, yeah, that guy's coming. But coach, even I don't know exactly where from until it happens. So let's say he calls what we call a shoot stunt. A shoot stunt is basically when our 3 and our nose shoot opposite of the blitz. It's a 2-man game. Some of you guys will just call it like a straight slant, okay? Boom, boom. So what he's going to do is hammer the B gap on snap. He's coming right downhill. This free knows he's responsible for what? 3 strong in this case, in a cover 1. So this free, even though he may be at 10 or 12, he's sitting there, hearing the cadence. Boom, the ball is snapped. He's coming here. You say, Coach, why is he coming here? Because if we get, say, vertical push in this here, he has to be in a position to check that and not be outflanked and out-leveraged. He can't do that from back here. So as soon as the ball is snapped, he's creeping and boom, now he's a rat in the hole and he's waiting on 3 to show. If 3 don't show, now what is he? He's in the same place your safety would be in if you call cover 1 robber. It's just we don't have the deep threat. We just have the guy down here. You say, Coach, why do you do things like that? If I'm doing this, which means at this point now I'm sending 6, I don't expect him to be able to sit back there and hit me on a bang 8. I don't expect him to be able to sit there and hit me on a 15-year-old dig at number 1. So in other words, the scheme matches the pressure. This in your face should make you do what? Throw the ball quickly. And what are most quarterbacks taught to do? Throw the ball where? Into the pressure. Throw it into the void. So what I'm doing, and it's a simple cover 1 concept, but I'm taking this guy, and instead of wasting him back here, like most people do, no, we're going to roll him down to either play 3 or be right in the teeth of this right here. If this guy wants to read it hot, he can get his head took off really quickly. So all those films that you see of Dave Duerson or Andre Waters coming down just cleaning somebody out, you're like, how are they able to do that? It's because there are certain things built into that AFC that they know, yeah, he called cover one, but he also told him to blitz. So now I'm sitting back here 10 or 12 yards, but on snap, I got to get my hips down here because my assignment just changed. It changed because of what? You call a blitz. It applies the same way on this side. If we send a Mike blitz, let's say we just did it the opposite way. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to roll down, and now if your tailback flares, we're good. But if he don't, and you try to hit one real quick, that's a compression. That's a corner playing hard inside leverage man coverage, and if you do happen to beat him, oh, heaven help you when you come across that middle. The pressure matches the scheme behind it. We're not going to try to play you for a 15-yard dig, but we're going to force you to throw the ball in 2.5 seconds. It doesn't make any sense. You can't throw a dig in 2.5 seconds. So the pressure matches the scheme behind it. It works the same way for the strong safety. If we send him, what are we going to do? Instead of rotating down, we're rotating over. And now we're here to play you. We're there. Works the same way if we send the corner off the edge. A boundary corner blitz. How many guys have that? Most teams have that in their defense, especially high school guys, because the boundary is so close. Our corner on an open end, he can shuffle down and get there pretty fast. Well, guess what? The free knows that. He's going to rotate. He's going to play it. That's what he's going to do. He's the quarterback. He knows whoever goes, I'm there. I have to play that assignment. Any questions?
No, loving it, man. Keep going.
All right, now I'm going to show you the color code scheme that actually gives the free safety a little bit more freedom than just what you've heard me talk about. Let's imagine for a moment, I'm going to do 11 personnel now. Let's say we do 11 personnel. Say we do 11 personnel, and we're in the same scheme, same concept. We have receiver here, flanker there, whatever you got back here. Strong safety is going to make us right on this side. Rex Ryan calls him an adjuster. I don't use those big words, but let's say we're here. How many of you guys have ever put a green dog into your defense for your Mike linebacker? Okay? You basically tell him he's going to read blitz. So, yeah, you're in man coverage. You know, you got the back. But if the back blocks and the back don't show, then you just got a green light to find green grass and get in there and be the extra rusher. It's very popular on Sundays. You've probably seen quarterback drop back. He's got time, but then all of a sudden it's like the linebacker kind of meanders his way through there and brings him down. It's because that linebacker realized this back ain't going. He's checking, but he's not releasing, so let me get in there. What we do is we have a color scheme for 4 different players. The Mike, the Jack, free, and the strong. Okay? Works like this. The Mike is green, the Jack is black, the free is blue, strong is red. I'm going to teach you a little bit how it works. If we're in cover 1, and let's imagine that I blitz the Jack backer like I did before. Now, in this case, I don't have to call anything if I don't want, neither does he. If he just wants to blitz the C gap, I'm going to let him go. Okay? Now, what's the free going to do when he does it? The free's going to roll down and take his assignment, right? We just discussed this. He's going to roll down here, and he's going to be responsible for 2 to that side. Now, let's say I call it, but I say Jack Green. Who's the green for? Him. So now I'm sending here, okay? But if this guy wants to sit back here and play patty cake with the quarterback because he sees this, now it's coming from the other side. And his rule is simple. Find green grass and hit it. Normally with this odd front, what we get is a lot of big on big. A lot of it. So we get a turnout, whichever side he picks, normally my guy just picks the other side and goes. Whichever way he's working. If he happens to be working weak, he sees it, he's going to hit it here. If he happens to be working here, boom, he hits the other way. Doesn't matter. And what that turns into is literally a 7-man pressure scheme, but I didn't call it that way. I call it with the potential to be that way. which was what makes, when I said at the beginning of the video, just because you jump in a double eagle doesn't mean you're running a 46 defense. What made the defense so great and still to this day makes it so deceptive is you can feel like as an offense that a team is just running engage 8 at you every play. But the reality is they're not. They're keying off what you do. Because he stayed in the block, he can't. That same concept can apply if I call it here. So now he's going to roll down the play here, but I say black. You keep your tight end in the block because you want to slide the protection and send your tailback here, picked up this guy. But guess what the Jack linebacker just did? He went. I made 2 separate calls, but got the same result because you did the same thing. You kept a guy in. The same way we have that +1 concept versus the run, it turns into one-on-one for us at all times against pass protection if we want it. Our philosophy is one of these guys is the fish. Might be a center, might be the left tackle, might be the right guard. We don't know. One of these guys is the fish. But we're going to find the fish because we're going to force you to block us one-on-one every time we send pressure. That is why we like to keep our 5-man front as much as possible. We do have a 40 look, but we try to keep it as much as possible because we want to force these guys to play one-on-one football. Because if we can force them to play one-on-one football, especially you air raid and spread guys, if we can force you guys to play 5-on-5, somebody's the fish. And when we find the fish, now you got to find a different page. You got to start keeping this kid in. And then if that ain't good enough, you might have to keep this kid in. But what you don't realize is we're funneling you down into that bottleneck of schematic pressure now. We're forcing you to do things that you don't want to do. And every time you do it, we're adding a guy to the party. Every time. We even have one for him. Oh, we can send the free safety too. We do this. It's like layers. You keep bringing a guy in, you keep bringing that wagon in, and we're going to keep coming. Until you mess around and you look, yeah, coach, I'm at 12 personnel, but the only guys going out is here and here. Because every time one goes out, they find a way to free one on the other side. Now, if there's no questions, I'll show you some of the stunts we use to free up our blitzes in our cover 1 scheme. I'm sure some of you spread guys are saying, yeah, but if my guy on the outside is better than you, you're right. But I'm going to say something that a lot of guys don't believe until they play against me. People say, you got to have guys to play that on the back end. Well, in the Tidewater area, yeah, we got some guys. Down in Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, you know, that's Plaxico Burris, Michael Vick, D'Angelo Hall, Percy Harvin country. Yeah, we got some guys. But this is my philosophy. I don't have to have guys. I just have guys as good as your guys. In other words, I don't have to have a corner that's 6 foot and 180 and runs a 4.4 if your best receiver runs a 4.7. I just got to have a guy that can play with your guy. We sometimes put our scheme inside of a box and say, well, I have to have this to do it. Not necessarily. Look at your schedule. Look at who you're playing against. If 75% of your opponents want to run the ball 35 times a night, this is your scheme. If 75% of your opponents, when they throw the football, are just running, 2x2 sets and they don't have dudes on the outside, this is your scheme. And one thing I can tell you is this. If you run up against that opponent, that they got some guys out there, and you're like, coach, I don't know. Well, guess what? That guy is no good to them if he can't get the ball in his hands. At the end of the day, we're attacking the O-line and the quarterback. So now I'm going to show you a few of the games we run to free up these blitzes. The ones I told you earlier that the linebackers are free to call. I'm going to show you basically a 5-man front. We're going to get in something like this. We're going to play the Jack and the Mike. This is how it works. The first two that we use are very similar for the nose tackle only. One is called stab, the other one's called slice. All right? The difference is one is strong, one is weak. Stab is strong, slice is weak. If he gets that call from either one, telling him which way to go, let's imagine this is going to be your strength, okay? If he gets a stab call from this Jack linebacker, you're going to get here, and he's coming here. It's real simple inside game on the center. I told you we get a lot of big on big. We get a lot of man scheme stuff. The minute this kid turns his hips and that kid turns his hips, A-gap just became a highway. and that jack linebacker's coming right through it. All right. My Mike was actually playing Division II ball in Ohio now. I had a Mike last couple of years. His favorite one was stab. His favorite one. He would look at me on the sideline and do like this with his chest all the time, begging me to call it. Why? Because in this alignment, this kid goes here and he just shoots it right off that 3 techniques hip. And the kid would actually creep it. His rule was 5. This kid would be at 3 yards sometimes on snap because he was just waiting for that center to snap the ball and turn his shoulders. And you would be surprised against power run schemes how many TFLs these kids get because this guy's going to have to back block one way or the other. And the minute you get a puller and a turn right here, there's a gap right in here that these kids can hit very, very quickly. And when you're running against, especially your spread or 11 personnel teams, when they're doing that, they don't want to pull away from a 3 technique, but we're making them have to pull away from a 3 technique. So let's say they want to get smart and say, well, we're just going to back block and we're going to make it a tackle pull. So we're going to do this and we're going to pull this guy. Well, number one, that takes about a half second longer. But number two, I told you at the beginning of the film, we're in 40 techs. We read tackle to near back. So if this jack, whether he's on a blitz or not, sees this, what do you think he's doing? He's on a collision course at a 45 coming downhill with the apex of the ball carrier. People all the time think, how do you defend spread? Spread plays into my hands because spread puts guys here and here and makes it where I have to defend less gaps. Spread makes my job easier. You want to give me a headache? Get in 12 personnel and 22 personnel. Get me in a phone booth, and now you have just as many blockers as I have guys. And now it's a mud fight. So, second stunt I'll teach you tonight. I showed it to you a few minutes ago to teach blitzes. It's called shoot. Either one can call it. We're going to call it with the mic. We're going to hit the A gap on both sides, which means he swings into the B. If you look carefully, you offensive guys, this is 3 to a side for you. 3 tech, Mike, defensive end. So unless you slide this way, can't block it. Unless your tailback is big and bad enough to handle my 5 tech. Not a lot of high school tailbacks can do that. There are NFL tailbacks that don't want to have to do that. So it's a simple call, it's a simple thing, but it turns into something that a lot of one-back teams don't like. They don't want the movement, and they don't want 3 and 4 to a side, which we can get there too. I've shown you slabs, stab, and shoot. Now I'm going to show you one that's a little bit more intricate. Coach Salas, I see your wheels spinning. Now I'm going to show you one a little bit more intricate. This one we call tank. Tackle around nose. Call it tank. Let's say that Jack calls it. The nose will hit it. He'll swing around. Tackle around nose. Many of you guys have probably seen this. It opens the same gap for the jack linebacker. It opens the B gap the same way it would on shoot. The difference is we call shoot a lot of times when we're anticipating run. We scheme that and teach that in practice. I tell my kids, look, if it's 3rd and 14, don't call shoot. Call this. Give them a pass rush game, and you get the same B gap rush. If it's 2nd and 3, 1st and 10, yeah, we might call shoot. 3rd and 1, yeah, we might do that because now we're just getting a slant and a hit real hard. But I tell the kids, if it's 3rd and long, if it's a pass situation, same B gap blitz for your kid, he knows I'm going B gap. He's just telling them to do a pass rush game instead of full slant and hit it hard. Okay? The next one I'm going to show you in the tank family is called twist. That one involves our defensive end. It also involves him as well when we run it to his side. Twist, 3 techniques can give you a really hard rush upfield. I teach my kids, I tell my D-line coach, their gap goes from goal line to goal line. If ain't nobody pulling, that interior gap goes from goal line to goal line. You'll never have to worry about, well, we didn't get there. No, you ain't got to talk about top shoulder to quarterback. If you teach that kid on a pass read, your gap goes all the way to the goal line. He will automatically find himself at the top shoulder to quarterback because he's pushing that kid vertically down the field. We get a good hard upfield rush. We're going to swing him in here. That's the twist. And then he comes off the edge here. Still 3 to the side. We just did it a different way. This, once again, is our answer. We're trying to get the same concept, but it's a pass rush stunt instead of we're just going to slant against the run and let the Mike hit it hard downhill. All right? A lot of times what has happened for us against this play is we try to get the nose when he hears this call. We try to get him to work away from the twist. We try to get him to work like this, away from the twist, because we want the center to turn his hips away from the twist. So we try to get our D-line coach reps that and tells the nose, look, if you hear it, and try to work away from it if you can. Yeah, you want to via the neck because you don't know if it's going to run or pass, but try to work away from it, because if he works away from it, then what we get is we get this open door, okay? The concept of the open door is this. He should come through the open door with no problem. Your 5 technique should hit that open door immediately, okay? Come right off 3 techniques butt. But what we're also banking on is this. We're going to say that this guy is a better athlete than their tackle. So if we can get him to make a bad step or get him to have his eyes on this kid when he crosses his face, we believe our kid's going to beat you, because that Mike linebacker is going to be a better athlete than that offensive tackle. So the concept is we flush here, we force there. So his kid, if he's a good football player and he sits in his face right now, oh, boom, let me get out of here. So he gets out of here, he's running right to it and doesn't even realize it. So it's little intricacies that we utilize, okay, to give our kids the same kind of rush, but it gives you a different look. And that is what I meant earlier when I said the mental pressure. I just showed you a handful of stunts. Those are only handful that I run. That's it. That's all we do. It's not a lot of it. I stole it directly from Buddy Ryan's book. His son wrote a book. So it's not a lot, okay? But we're showing it looks different on film. It looks different even on the board. It looks different to an offensive lineman. Coach, this play, the end crossed my face. Last play, coach, 3 technique, he crossed my face. Coach, last play, the nose and the 3 technique came, but it's just simple stuff for us.
What's this one called again?
This one here is twist.
Twist.
We get a hard upfield rush for the 3 technique. We swing the defensive end in the A gap. It's just a real, I mean, some teams, I think that it's some people call it Texas, but most time on a Texas stunt, your 3 technique runs contained.
Right.
He kind of runs all the way out, whereas we don't do it that way. We let him hard upfield rush, and we have the Mike become the contained player. That's why we don't necessarily do it on rundowns, because we don't like putting him in a position that he's normally not in on rundowns. In a rundown, we don't ask him to be out here. We ask him to eat inside of here. So the difference between like tank and twist and your stab, slice, shoot concept, stab, slice, and shoot, we run them versus the run. Tank, twist, that kind of stuff, we run that stuff versus the pass, okay? And we even run it to the Buck side too. The Buck linebacker loves it because normally this kid is pretty athletic. He's a stand-up backer. So when we do it here and swing this stand-up backer into the A-gap, oh, he loves it, okay? Because now you, like for instance, the kid I had 2 years ago, 6'5", 215, 220, and now I get to swing in here and go up against a fat, dumpy guard. So he's happy as I don't know what. He's like, coach, that's easy for me. So that's the difference between knowing, hey, we're going up against the run, we're going up against the pass. This might not be much in the game plan this week, or this is going to be heavy in the game plan this week. And then you teach your kids down in distance. It's 3rd and 11. Go ahead and call this. They're probably going to call it football, okay? But don't be sitting here and telling my kid, tank, don't be telling my D-line tank and twist on 3rd and 2, and you run my mic out here, and they run power over here. Now, I'm not going to be happy about that. So the greatness of the system, and that's why players in the 80s and 90s that played in it excelled, because you're giving the players some of the ownership of the system. It forces them to learn it because you can't play in it if you don't learn it. I'm giving you a little bit of a leeway to call this, call that. Have some freedom, have some fun in there. But if you don't learn it, you can't do that. You have to learn it first. If you're in practice and your mic is yelling twist and you're simulating, inside run drills in the goal line, hey, son, come here. Why are you running yourself out here where we're getting ready to get an interior run inside of 10? You're teaching the kids simulating situational football and making them learn the scheme that way. The cool part about it is you're able to do that because they know how to align the formation the minute you break the huddle. And for you tempo teams, that's why AFC is so big for us. You want to stay in the same formation all night long? Or for the first draft? Cool. We've been taught all summer to align to the formation. So you're not going to misalign us. You're not going to tempo us. We know what we're looking at. 1 back or 2 back, 5 service, 6 service. We know what we're looking at. So if you want to come down the field and stay in a certain personnel group, cool. We learned that back in June. This is how we align to it. And it makes it easy for me as a play caller on the sideline because I don't keep having to call 35 different fronts all night. We have a real simple signal. If they see my fist up in the air, I want you to align to what you see. If my fist is not in the air, I'm going to be calling a front I want you to get in. But as long as I'm holding my hand in the air at the Statue of Liberty, when my mic turns and looks at me and the free looks at me, we're going to align to what we see. And then when my fist in the air, I can yell a blitz in a coverage like that, or a stunt in a coverage like that.